Morning, everybody. We are here with Joan Esculies, a professor in history and global studies degree coordinator at UVic, Universitat Central de Catalunya, who is going to talk to you about the global classrooms. Joan, I give the floor to you. You may start.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. To address the topic I want to discuss, I'd like to start with a general overview of the issue, and then I will present some practical cases so you can see the classroom dynamics and understand what I'm referring to in this initial theoretical part. In an interconnected world, education systems must evolve to prepare students for global citizenship. One major trend in education is the development of global classrooms, learning environments where students from diverse cultural, linguistic, and national backgrounds interact, collaborate, and learn together. As enriching as these classrooms can be, they also present challenges, particularly regarding cultural differences. To truly harness the potential of global classrooms, educators, institutions, students must actively work to bridge these cultural gaps. Culture encompasses shared beliefs, values, norms, and practices that shape how people perceive the world and interact with others. In a global classroom, cultural differences can manifest in language, communication styles, attitudes towards authority, concepts of time, approaches to learning, and more. For instance, students from collectivist societies may prioritize group harmony and defer to authority figures, while students from individualistic cultures may emphasize personal expression and critical questioning. These differences, if unaddressed, can lead to misunderstandings, reduced participation, and even conflict. Therefore, recognizing and respecting these cultural dimensions is crucial to fostering mutual understanding, I think. Despite the challenges, culturally diverse classrooms offer significantly benefits. Exposure to different perspectives enhances critical thinking, creativity, and empathy. Students develop intercultural communication skills that are essentials in the global job market. Moreover, global classrooms encourage collaboration across boundaries, preparing students to work in international teams and multicultural environments. Research shows that students in diverse classrooms are more likely to engage in meaningful discussions, challenge their assumptions, and develop a deeper understanding of global issues. University professors, too, can benefit from the exchanges, gaining new insights into pedagogy and students' engagement. Bridging cultural differences is not without obstacles. Some of the key challenges include language barriers, stereotyping and bias, different educational norms, assessment methods, and lack of cultural competency. To deal with, I would like to mention a few strategies for bridging cultural gaps. This could be, for instance, to share the students' cultural backgrounds and experiences to foster mutual respect and awareness, to integrate multicultural content into the curriculum to ensure that all students feel represented. For instance, literature, case studies, and historical examples from various cultures can help students appreciate diversity. We can also create safe spaces for discussion to allow students to express their views, ask questions, and learn from one another. Group projects that mix students from different backgrounds also promote learning and cross-cultural interaction. And finally, employing a variety of assessment formats accommodates different learning styles and cultural norms. So university lecturers, professors are central to bridging cultural differences. Our attitudes, expectations, and practices shape the classroom climate. We must model inclusive behavior, remain open to learning about other cultures, and continuously reflect in our own biases. Professional development opportunities focused on intercultural competence should be a priority, in my view, in our training programs. Moreover, we can act as mediators during cultural misunderstandings, guiding students toward empathy and mutual respect. We can also highlight the value of each culture represented in the classroom, helping students see diversity as an asset rather than a barrier. The Global Studies degree at Universitat de Vic, Universitat Central de Catalunya, near Barcelona, is a pioneering program in Catalonia and one of the few in Spain entirely focused on globalization and international issues. Entirely in English, the program attracts a diverse cohort of students. Its curriculum spans politics, economics, contemporary history, which I teach, international law, sociology, and cultural studies, among others, enabling students to gain a comprehensive understanding of global interrelations. In my experience, this program is interesting not only due to the academic contents, but also its methodological approach. It emphasizes active learning, critical thinking, and the development of soft skills necessary for intercultural dialogue. Teamwork, presentations, case studies, simulations, and research projects are integral to the classroom experience. Professors come from a variety of cultural and academic backgrounds, offering perspectives rooted in different disciplines and regions of the world. The cultural diversity within the global studies classrooms, as I mentioned before, is both a challenge and a rich educational asset. Students arrive with different linguistic backgrounds, academic traditions, and cultural assumptions. For example, a student from Norway may be used to highlight structured lectures, while a student from Greece may come with a more relational, discussion-based system. These differences shape students' expectations and participation in class. However, these variances become opportunities for cross-cultural learning. In group assignments, students learn to negotiate meaning, adapt communication styles, and develop cultural empathy. Through structured reflection, they begin to appreciate alternative worldviews and values. This process is crucial for developing global-minded graduates who can operate effectively across borders. Technology also plays a central role in supporting global learning. Virtual exchanges, international webinars, and hybrid collaborations enable students to engage with peers and experts, and platforms facilitate collaboration and learning across borders. These activities stimulate real-world international cooperation, giving students practical experience in negotiation, diplomacy, and cross-cultural communication. Let me now share a few examples from my own classes to better understand how these interculturality take place. As I mentioned before, I teach contemporary history. So when once in class I introduced the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the figure of Yasser Arafat aroused, a student from Morocco brought her unique perspective and deeper knowledge of him due to the historical, cultural, and political context in which she was raised. In many North African and Middle Eastern countries, Arafat's role as a symbol of Palestinian resistance has become more prominently featured in media, public discourse, and even education during the last decades. As a result, this student had been exposed to discussions about Arafat from a young age, whether through news, family conversations, or even at school. In contrast, Catalan and Spanish students, while educated in international affairs, may not have the same depth of cultural or emotional connection to the Palestinian cause. Their understanding of Arafat is more academic, even abstract, due to their age, and basically gained through textbooks or lectures rather than personal or societal context. This difference illustrates how cultural background shapes global awareness. In the global studies classroom, such contrasts enrich discussion and learning. The Moroccan student can share her insights and lived experiences, helping others to see the subject from a different angle, while also gaining new perspectives from her mates in this case. Let's us take a closer look to another case. During the fall semester, one topic of discussion was the concept of democracy and political legitimacy. I introduced various models of governance, including liberal democracies and authoritarian regimes. Students were asked to reflect on how political legitimacy was constructed and perceived in different parts of the world. Then I gave the students some minutes to organize their thoughts, and after that, a Chinese student explained how, in his experience, many people in China view the legitimacy of this their government not through elections, but through performance and stability. He added that the Chinese state is seen as by many as effective and responsive, even without competitive elections. This statement generated a mix of reactions. One Spanish student responded by emphasizing the importance of freedom of expression, separation of powers, and multi-party elections as core elements of any legitimate government. Another Spanish student agreed, expressing concern that economic performance alone could justify authoritarian practices. Rather than allowing the discussion to polarize, I encourage the students to consider how cultural, historical, and institutional context shape political values. Then we broke class into small groups, each tasked with comparing Western and non-Western notions of political legitimacy without judging one as superior. Later, students reflected on how the conversation helped them question their own assumptions and see governance from multiple cultural perspectives. The Chinese student felt respected, not attacked, and the Spanish students gain insight into how political systems are viewed differently around the world. I'd like to also expose a final and more general case. In my contemporary history class within the Global Studies program at the Universitat de Vic, the topic of 1 week was the Cold War. I opened with a brief lecture outlining the ideological conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union, touching key events such as Cuban Missile Crisis, the Vietnam War, the fall of the Berlin Wall. Then the class discussion began with a Russian student offering her perspective. She explained that in Russia, the Cold War was still remembered with a mix of nostalgia and tension. For many in her country, the Soviet Union during that time was not just a political regime, but a symbol of strength, independence, and global influence. Then the Chinese student followed, highlighting how China distanced itself from the Soviet Union after the 60s and pursued its own version of communism. He argued that in Chinese education, the Cold War was explained not only as a global power struggle, but also as a moment of China asserting its independence from both blocs. He emphasized the importance of sovereignty and self-reliance, values deeply embedded in Chinese historical narrative. A Catalan student contributed by noting that during the Cold War, Spain, under Franco's dictatorship, was officially neutral but aligned with the West. He reflected on how this geopolitical context was rarely questioned in Spanish schools and how learning about Cold War in university opened his eyes to a broader complexities of the era. Another Spanish student added that many in Spain were largely unaware of the Cold War effects in Latin America, for instance, or Africa, and that studying it from a global studies perspective revealed how the conflict wasn't just about the US and the USSR, and it affected dozens of countries, often through proxy wars, coups, and ideological manipulation. Lastly, the Moroccan student shared how the Cold War influenced post-colonial politics in the Arab world. She explained that many regimes, including Morocco's, had to carefully navigate between the US and the Soviet interests while also dealing with internal struggles for modernization and independence. So after that, I assigned collaborative tasks, and in multicultural groups, they had to choose a Cold War event and analyze it from the perspective of each student's region or national context. The goal was not only to understand the event itself, but to see how historical memory, education, and national interest influenced its interpretation. Through this exercise, students realized that the Cold War was not a singular story, but a web of global experiences shaped by ideology, geography, and identity. Above all, the classroom became a platform where cultural differences were not obstacles, but entry points into a more complex and human understanding of world history. So, to resume, all in all, I feel global classrooms are a kind of microcosms of our diverse and interconnected world. While they present unique challenges, they also offer unparalleled opportunities for learning, growth, and collaborate. As the world continues to globalize, the ability to navigate cultural diversity will be essential, but not only for academic success, but for building more just, inclusive, and peaceful societies. This is exactly what the Global Studies program at the Universitat de Vic exemplifies: the potential of global classrooms to transform education by fostering intercultural understanding, critical global awareness, and collaborative skills. So thank you very much for your attention, and I hope this brief range of ideas have been insightful and a value to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Would you actually have time for a few questions and maybe a short discussion? While you were talking, a few questions came to mind. I was working at a school, one of these international schools here in Bulgaria, where you obviously kids from around the world. So I was wondering, in your experience, what is the age? Is it from an early age that we should start teaching kids about global citizenship, about the acceptance of other cultures and histories and other points of view? And do you think that students who are coming from this type of schools actually perform better at university, especially in another country?
Sure, I think sooner as possible. It would be better and desirable. And I think the global classroom, mixed classrooms, are easy to find today than ever before due to immigration processes. So this is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. So mixed classrooms. I would say that can form and give us a better students with different perspectives, not just a single-minded or just one point of view of different of a topic, a specific topic. This is what I try to teach at university.
And with the risk of maybe making the conversation a bit more political, hopefully no, but having in mind that some of the biggest countries right now in the world are kind of closing their borders and kind of moving away from the idea of global citizenship and globalization. After all, how do you think that actually universities can fight this?
I think it's important to know and to respect the culture of other students in class. And I haven't seen during my years at university conflicts between or major conflicts between students coming from different parts of the world. I mean, I have Chinese, Russians, Moroccans, Europeans students at class, and we are able to share different views and different points of view in order to enrich our own knowledge. I mean, I'm really open to listen memories and the knowledge which of these students come to my class in this case. And history is very useful for this, because history can be seen from different perspectives, and it's always enriching to listen all of them. So I don't feel it's a major issue.
Thank you. I myself personally, I'm not sure whether this is useful for the presentation anyways, but I studied in the Netherlands, and there at my university I met with lots of students from especially from Middle Eastern countries. So students who are refugees or children of refugees, some of them survived the various wars going on there. A few students who were actually refugees from Rwanda and survived the genocide there when they were kids. And that for me was an eye-opening experience, because before that, here in Bulgaria, you only hear about this as a teenager or as a kid, but it never really touches you because you don't know people who have survived it. But it was because of these people that they actually changed my whole idea of what I wanted to study and how I wanted to proceed with my life. And maybe that's the greatest benefit of the global classroom and the globalization, after all, just changing your appreciation of the
I think
world.
this, yeah, I think this is interesting. I mean, in the fall semester, we talk about the Yugoslavian wars in the 90s, and then I explained the genocide in Rwanda. While in Barcelona we had the Olympic Games, and my students born in 2000 haven't heard about the genocide in Rwanda, but they were interested in that historical episode and the massacres and so on. So then we stopped the class, and we began to search for information of this special case. And in the next class, two students came and explained the genocide, beginning from the gathering of materials that they were able to find in internet or in books or anywhere else. And that was particularly interesting. Last week we had here at university a talk of two war correspondents from La Vanguardia and El País, the two major newspapers in Spain, and they talk about the Rwanda genocide. So those students, those global studies students, were able to better understand what they were talking about, because we had talk and explain it during our classes, and this is enriching for me as a professor, and this is our goal.
But Joan, thank you very much for this presentation and for your explanation of globalization, the global classroom afterward.
Thank you for